normal form, and essentially imagine yourself now. So we were first imagining ourselves as database script writers, right? Somebody asked you to write a particular SQL script, and we know how to write select queries, create queries, and God, that was like a billion years ago, right? But we know how to do those things. The next step was, how do I draw a particular diagram in terms of these things? But now imagine that you are working for a company, and this company has all of this data, right? And it is your job to actually organize this data into different tables, and basically organize this entire data such that a SQL query can be performed most efficiently as possible. What would be the primary keys of those different tables? How would you be joining those different tables together? So if you follow the Boyce Codd normal form, it gives you a nice enough indication as to how your table data should be broken down into multiple tables, so that you can actually create your database for yourself, given your entire data set. So I hope that sort of makes sense. So that was basically the introduction to normal forms. And the main important part is that normal forms are formally specified. So you can mathematically argue about your data forms. The goal of using these forms is that we want to design schemas that are going to satisfy a certain particular normal form. We will talk about the first normal form, the Boyce Codd normal form. We will not talk about the second normal form, but we will talk about the third normal form as well. Okay, so imagine that and we will mainly look at it in terms of some examples, but imagine that this example schema design, right? That we have loan as our table name, loan ID is our primary key, and the amount that we have for that loan. So L100 has a loan of 10,000, right? You also have borrower, customer ID, and loan ID. And note that this is a many-to-many mapping. So both customer ID and loan ID are primary keys, blah, blah, blah. Both of those pairs are primary keys. So that is basically what a real world does. So a customer can have multiple loans. A loan can be owned by multiple customers as well. In this particular scenario, one particular loan, that is L100, is owned by these three customers, right? And that is because it is a many-to-many mapping. All of them own this L100 loan, and this just happens to be this $10,000 loan, right? So this is the table that we have. Okay. Everyone agrees that this is a many-to-many relationship. We have those two tables and we are relating those two things, right? Okay. So now you can imagine that it is always useful to get the amount of loan for a particular customer ID, right? I want to know what is the amount of loan for the customer 23652. So can someone tell me, given these two tables, how would I get the amount of loan owed by customer ID this? So basically I want to ask the question that is, what does this particular customer owe? So how would I get that result? Can someone tell me? Select some amount from borrower, left join loan. Exactly, right? We would be joining exactly, Yogi. We would need to be possible exactly, and the sum amount is really, really nice. I love that, because that particular customer can have other loans as well. I really do love that statement. I was not expecting that, but yes, that is correct. So select sum amount from borrower, left join loan, where customer ID, blah, 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 right? Okay. But the main thing that I'm looking into is we need to join these two tables, right? Borrower and loan, right? So if we are going to join these two tables in order to get the loan amount, one thing that we could do is join this table together. And Yoge, for the time being, just forget that this customer has other loans. Let's just assume that this is the only loan that this customer has, because it will make my next example easier. So forget about the sum amount part for now. But essentially, assume that this particular customer has this just one amount. And let's say that we are going to use this join operator again and again. So one user decided, you know what, I'm going to create my own table called borrowed loan that has customer ID, loan ID as primary keys and the amount as well, so that I can just look up the amount given a customer ID and loan ID. Right. So this is possibly a larger schema that is basically a natural join or basically inner join of these two particular tables, right? So customer ID, loan ID, and amount. So the main rationale behind this would be to eliminate the join whenever we are retrieving the loan amounts, because we need a join. And the problem is that the mapping between customers and loans are many to many. That means that we now have redundant copies. Let me explain a bit more in detail, because the redundant copies bit is important to understand. So now we have $10,000 being duplicated every time we have this customer ID and loan ID pair, right? So what are not, if we were to look at it in terms of a normal form, that is a Boyce Codd normal form or a first normal form or a third normal form, then this table would be an invalid table because of that redundancy. The redundancy being that we have this $10,000 amount being repeated every time. But I need to clarify one thing in this situation, is that even if they are repeated values does not always automatically mean that things are wrong, right? You can note that, let's say that we have this table here. L100 loan ID has $10,000 as loans shared together by 3 people. L205 also happens to have $10,000 loans that is shared between 2 people. But not all duplicate values for 10,000 are actually redundant, right? $10,000 for all L100 accounts are redundant values. $10,000 for all L205 accounts are all redundant values. So let me give you guys an example. Let's say, let's say that the user 15202. Okay, so the user 15202 pays off, let's say, $500 towards the loan amount, right? 15202, 23652, let me highlight it. 15202, 23652, and 23521. All three together share a loan of $10,000. Let's say that 15202 paid off $500 for the loan. Do you guys agree that the remaining amount of loan that we have is basically $9,500, right? So if the remaining amount of loan that we have is $5,900, then let's say that we want to now update this information to the table. Would we have to update one tuple or would we have to update 3 tuples in this scenario? In this borrowed loan table, 3 tuples or 1 tuple? How many tuples would we need to update? Because 15202 decided to pay off $500. Exactly. Three, we need to update three tuples because exactly loan ID should be the primary key to loan amount. But since we have joined both of those informations together, we now have this redundant set of updates for a single particular update, which was not the case if we had this sort of breakdown. In this sort of breakdown, every user had their own loan ID, and we could have just updated this particular single amount to 9,500 and everything is fine. There is no redundant updates anywhere. So that is the distinction that we want to make. That is what is repeated values and why are repeated values bad. Not all repeated values are bad because 10,000 can occur for other loans as well. But if we have to make changes that are repeated changes to other entries as well for a particular entry, then we can be sure that this is not following good schema design protocols. Okay. So basically what we want is every loan must have only one amount, and that is what we call as a functional dependency. Because every loan will have a single amount, we can say that loan ID directly depends on the fact that what is the amount. So amount depends directly upon loan ID, right? Amount does not directly depend upon customer ID, but amount depends upon loan ID. Loan ID and customer ID could be related somewhere else, but amount is directly directed towards the loan ID. This is what we call as a functional dependency. And this is usually represented as loan ID, arrow amount, where amount depends upon only the loan ID. If we make any changes to amount, and if there are multiple instances of loan ID, we would make that change to every possible instance of loan ID. That is what we mean, that amount is a function only and only of loan ID, right? Okay. So normal forms look into these sort of dependencies in order to break down a table into its corresponding unbreakable entities, so to speak. Okay. So loan ID by itself, so for borrowed loan that we had designed earlier, this was nicer because it allowed us less joins, because now instead of joining two tables, we could have directly queried the value from that amount from the table itself. But this is not an efficient table because updating amount requires updating it multiple times. Loan ID by itself can't be the primary key for borrowed loan. Customer ID and loan ID together needs to be the primary key. And we also need to support the many-to-many mappings between customers and loans. And the combination of customer and loan ID can be a primary key. That means that loan ID could appear multiple times. And if loan ID is a relationship that relates directly to amount, any changes we make to amount, we need to make it multiple times wherever that particular loan ID occurs.